Hey folks, this is Kalani. One of the largest additions in the latest alpha build was the brand new expansion hub for Shadowlands, Oribos. Everyone will pass through here and this will be our connection to the realm of the living. So if you wanted to pop back to Orgrimmar and you didn't have a mage portal or a hearthstone ready to use, you would need to come back to Oribos and pass through here. The 4 different leveling zones and the max level zone of the Moor are also pretty fragmented, so to get between them you'll probably have to go through Oribos as well. So we're all going to spend quite a bit of time here, whether we're trying to get from one place to the next, or, just sat AFKing with our coolest mount out. Oribos is the new Dalaran, and it's shared between factions too, which is going to be a very interesting change from how BFA was set up. A return to better days, some might say. It seems like Oribos is also going to be at the center of our story in this expansion. As souls pass on to the afterlife, they're supposed to arrive in Oribos ready to be judged. Depending on the Arbiter's judgment, they're sent to the various areas of the Shadowlands, but something is wrong. The Arbiter is missing or inactive, and souls are pouring straight into the Moor. So Oribos might be something we need to fix to help repair the systems of the afterlife. Either way you look at it, this new hub is very important. So let's take a look around and see what we have to work with. Before we jump in, be sure to pop by our live stream sometime over at twitch.tv/KalaniTV. We go live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday at 12 PM PST, and swinging by and saying hi is one of the best ways you can support the channel and everything we do. By the way, a subscription on Twitch, which you can get for free if you have an Amazon Prime, will also get your name at the end of every YouTube video that we create as a special thank you. So if you've always wanted to join the wonderful folks in the outro, now you know how. Hope to see you soon. Let's start by looking at the maps of the area. You can see it's basically a giant circle. You can run all the way around if you really want to, which means we're going to get a new Laps Around Oribos add-on, no doubt, and there's 4 different levels from what we can see. The ground level is where you'll do most of your Oribos activities, learning professions, banking, sitting at the inn, AFKing with randoms in the middle, the usual major hub stuff. Downstairs is pretty small and doesn't seem to have any clear use just yet, but we will take a look down there as well. One floor up we have something called Oribos Portals, which means it could be used as a massive portal floor to get between zones and back to Azeroth, and then the very top is a special room that we'll get to later. It's called Upper, and from what we can tell there's no way to get there without being a bit sneaky, but we'll still show that off as well. So now we know what we have, let's go exploring. Starting with the outside, one of the most impressive things about this new hub has got to be the Skyboxes, so I can't really wait to show them off. The dev team has done such an amazing job taking advantage of how Shadowlands is set up and what they can do with Skyboxes now. So it's a floating little castle thing, basically, which means you have nothing but Skybox around you, above you, and below you. Check that out, a massive yellow and black swirl down below Oribos off in the distance. You know what's even cooler? If you open up the world map, you can see that the Moor zone is in the direction of that crazy storm. That's literally the Moor, and you can see it from Oribos. It's the same for every zone actually. If you look off into the distance in the direction of each zone, you will see a different coloured anima swirl. It looks like most of it might be getting sucked down into the Moor too, which is where the Jailer, Sylvanas and the Tower of the Damned is. This is what we need to fix in Shadowlands, but I'm guessing it won't exactly be easy. The dev team has been getting better and better with using Skyboxes, but this is definitely the best use I've ever seen. It creates such a unique setting. Oh, and by the way, a skybox should be so much easier for your PC to process and render when compared to actual zones, so Oribos might also be the least laggy hub we've seen to date. Alrighty, let's do a quick run around the outside. There isn't too much on the outer ring of Oribos, a lot of blue fiery torches and arches for you to run underneath, but it looks like this will either be space saved for later on, or just something to make the place look a bit prettier. We do have something of a landing platform which sticks out on one side of the hub. It's currently being used as a placeholder portal area. There's a portal to Orgrimmar, Stormwind, Bastion and Revendreth, but we know for sure that this is placeholder for the time being. Another little cool thing, by the way, the hub's name Oribos is very similar to the symbol of a snake eating its tail, the Ouroboros. And you can actually see this symbol, or something similar to it, 2 snakes eating each other's tail. It's in quite a few places around the hub. That's probably where the dev team drew inspiration from for the name, and that also might be why the entire hub is one big circle. Let's head inside and see what the actual hub looks like. You'll see the same colours and architecture throughout Oribos. Doesn't really change too much. Apparently Oribos was created by the Purpose. If you talk to most of the Arbiter type NPCs, they all mention the Purpose in one way or another. I guess the Purpose might be an overseeing force in the afterlife, but I'm sure we'll learn more about that as the Shadowlands expansion unfolds. This central area is very small and doesn't really contain too much. Guards stand by at every little entrance so you can ask them where to find specific things if you get lost, and there's a few NPCs scattered around, but apart from that, there's not too much to look at. At the very centre of Oribos, you can see a massive anima swirl. I wonder if this will get less or more powerful as the story progresses. You can't jump into it from this level, sadly. I know some of you are thinking about it, so sorry to disappoint. Now, as you might have guessed, the little interior sections are where you'll find all of the important NPCs. It's pretty much a huge circle once again, so let's start at one end and go all the way to the other. This is the Hall of Holding. I guarantee we'll all be spending a lot of time here, or at least we will on reset days. This is our new weekly box, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, we get an entire weekly vault, apparently. If you talk to the caretaker NPC right in front of it, he even makes a little joke about the passing of time and the interval between receiving a reward here being weekly. What a cheeky NPC, but apparently the Purpose will offer us goodies every week depending on what content we get done. The weekly box might be changing quite significantly in Shadowlands then. Right next to the weekly box area is the bank. These chaps are locked up tightly in here, aren't they? Good. Keep my gold safe. I don't see anything which could be a guild bank just yet, so that might be added in later on down the line. As we move further around the circle, we're going to enter the Professions area, the Hall of Shapes. For this build, the dev team removed all of the Profession NPCs, because I guess Professions aren't ready for testing yet. So this does look a bit barren, a bit bare, but you can see as we walk around, each of the Professions has their own little nook. You can tell which area is for which profession quite easily, and there's even a cool little sign or symbol for most of them, floating weapons in a swirl of mist, scrolls hovering in the air, hides ready to be worked with. It's very pretty. The shop set up in Dalaran was pretty cool, but I like the more open setting of this Oribos hall. It looks like you may have to learn the secondary professions from somewhere else though. I didn't see those covered in our little run through. I'm sure this area will be bustling with life when the expansion launches, partly because we'll actually have some NPCs, but mostly because everyone who wants to craft will be shoved into the same area of the hub. Continuing through, we have something that many players will be very interested in, PvP vendors. At least they didn't make them hard to find this time, right guys? We have the Assessor of Conflict, the Master of Conflict, and the Facilitator of Conflict. The Assessor will sell the lower tier of PvP gear for Shadowlands PvP Honor, which I guess is just going to be a lower tier of currency once again. None of the gear has new models yet, so there's nothing to preview, but the idea of buying gear from a vendor again for Honor points is kind of wild. BFA made a bit of a mess of PvP gearing. The Master of Conflict will sell the higher tier of PvP gear for a different currency called Shadowlands PvP Weekly Reward Progress. Obviously, these are work in progress names, but this could be the Conquest currency the dev team was talking about previously. We can earn Honor to buy the lower tiers of gear, and Conquest to buy the higher tiers of gear. Conquest will likely stay as a rated only currency with a few opportunities to get it from unrated play, while Honor will be the unrated currency you can get from playing any type of PvP. That's my guess anyway, but the most interesting chap in this trio is the Facilitator of Conflict. He has an upgrade window that should look very familiar to anyone who played during the benthic gear hype. It looks almost identical, except you might be able to upgrade a wider variety of gear. It simply says you can upgrade many items to increase their item level, and the currency required will depend on the item's source. So you may be able to upgrade Honor gear by using more Honor, or Conquest gear by using Conquest. We'll have to wait and see how this works in future builds to get a better idea of what it might mean, but if you can upgrade any type of gear, does that include dungeon gear, raid gear, world quest gear? I'm very excited to see how this develops on the alpha as we get new builds. Let's move on. This next area is very interesting, but we don't really know what it's going to be used for just yet. You can see in each corner we have a banner or a flag for each of the 4 covenants. Kyrians, Necrolords, Venthyr and Night Fae. They're all present, so this could either be an area to pick up the new emissary quest's callings, or it could maybe be used as a location for the quartermasters of each covenant. It could also be a portal area, but maybe not if the upper floor has anything to say about it. I think there's also a very important NPC missing on this little raised area. There's 2 guards here, almost as if they were meant to be bodyguards for someone. Hopefully we'll find out in a future build. As we move around once more, we enter the last little section of the interior of Oribos. If you were wondering where some other NPCs were, they might be in here. First up we have the Stable Master, and if you were wondering how these guys in the afterlife could have access to your supposedly alive pets, that portal behind him might explain a few things. He also has a few pet goodies on the table, so I'm sure there'll be another vendor here to sell you all manner of battle pet items like squeaky toys, leashes, and whatever else you guys like to dress your pets up in. In the next room we have your transmog dude, who will probably get 0 work out here. Has he never heard of the yak mount? As well as the void storage. Now to the side of them you can see the curiosity vendor and the bazaar master. Neither of them have anything interesting to sell or say, so I guess they'll get fleshed out a little bit later. There are some mounts behind them, so this could be another very expensive mount vendor. Time will tell. And right up against the wall, the last NPC on this little tour is the barber. Oh, sorry, the appearance agitator. Calling them a barber probably wouldn't be accurate anymore. What with the eye colour changes, the skin colour changes, the face changes, and everything else new coming in the Shadowlands expansion. One thing's for sure, the old barbers back home on Azeroth are vastly underpaid. There is one more room here, but it's cut off from the rest, so that's why we left it until last. If you pop around the wall, you will find the innkeeper. It's a very fancy inn. Not too many things to sit on or lie down on, and I'm not sure where you're going to sleep, but it's got a shiny floating rock thing, so you know it's high class. There's 2 sections off to either side, and a little hallway at the back that leads downwards. This is the other reason that I left this area until last, because this is the only way you can get down to the basement of Oribos. It's quite a long way down, very cool hallways too, gives you just enough time to get uneasy about where you might be going, and then you'll eventually pop out in the Broker's Den. There are a few NPCs down here, but none of them say too much. We do learn that the brokers have different cartels though, so we may end up working with some of them and not others, and there's a portal at the back which leads to Lord knows where. These broker chaps are natives to the Shadowlands though, so they probably know a thing or two about moving between the various zones of the afterlife. Even though we'll have access to the 4 leveling zones plus the more, there are endless other areas of the afterlife that we won't get to see. We might learn about some of them from the brokers though. Let's head back on up so we can see the other side of the inn. It's nothing too special, again just the hallways all the way up, and then we pop out to the other side. It's just some NPCs hanging around, more tables, more chairs, a huge looking pantry on the wall, that would be very nice actually. Still nowhere to sleep though. That's pretty much everything to look at on this level, but we can go 1 level higher by using one of the portals near the center of the room. This transition animation is probably one of the best I've seen in WoW. That is a great teleporting screen. Now this area up top is called the Ring of Transference, and the map calls it Oribos Portals, so it's safe to assume this is where we'll need to go if we want to jump around the zones. There aren't any portals that we can use just yet. In fact, there's nothing we can really interact with at all up here. Just one big circle with lots of potential areas for portals or gateways. It is really cool that each section leads out to one of the huge stone blocks. That makes me think that we might see some cool animations here for teleporting. You imagine just stepping up onto the platform and zooming out past the block and into the distance in the direction of the zone we're portaling to? That could be really cool. I'm very excited to see how that all shapes up, but as far as exploring for right now goes, that's kind of it. And just because I know you're going to ask about it if I don't do it, yes, you can throw yourself into the huge anima beam in the middle from this floor. Nothing super special happens, you just drop for a bit and then get teleported back up. Sorry to disappoint you. It would have been funny if you got sent to a random area maybe, or just fell all the way through Oribos, but oh well. I said that was the end of exploring, and it kind of is, but if you remember back to earlier when we were talking about the various floors and maps, there is still one missing. That very top floor where we can't get to unless we use a bit of trickery. If you head into the middle and look up and use Farsight on the top of the beam, we can go a bit higher. This is the highest floor of Oribos, and you can see that same snake symbol in the middle. The swirling anima continues up into the sky, and it looks like you might not be able to go any higher. But this isn't the room we saw from the map. The room we saw from the map was a diamond. But if you look upwards and farsight again into the middle of the beam, you get to see something quite spectacular. The actual top floor of Oribos, with an amazing view. Front and center is the Arbiter, and she doesn't look too good, does she? We know there's something wrong with her that we will probably have to fix, but seeing her in a broken state is quite a chilling image. I assume we'll be sent to this floor sometime in our questing to try and figure out what's wrong, but past the Arbiter, look at the Skybox. All of those gateways out there, do they all lead to individual pockets of the afterlife? Are they markers for something more sinister? Will we ever actually get to find out, or are they just there to make the Skybox cool? I would kind of be sad if they're just there for show, but again the dev team is making fantastic use of the Skybox to set up the entire scene. I cannot wait for this expansion to go live. But that's all we have to see in Oribos. The layouts, the NPCs, the PvP vendors, the weekly chest area, and even a sneak peek of the Arbiter herself. What's your favourite part of Oribos from what you've seen so far? How do you think this expansion hub compares to some of the others we've had like Dalaran? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. If you want to explore the alpha with us, like we did for Oribos, you can find us live over at twitch.tv/KalaniTV. We stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday at 12 PM PST, and watching the stream and coming to say hi is one of the best ways you can support the channel right now, and if you ever wanted to be included in the list of names at the end of every video, a subscription on Twitch is the easiest way to make that happen. You get a free sub to any Twitch channel if you have Amazon Prime too, so be sure to take advantage of that. A big thank you to everyone who has subscribed on Twitch already, and to our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, well, now you know how. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.